Hey, group leaders. Awesome to get to hang out with you today. I know things are a little different this series, that you've got the 2 videos every week. I hope it's working well. Again, I'd love to hear back from you on how it is. I'm sure you're kind of getting tired of this shirt, but it's going to keep happening for the rest of the series, so oh well. Picking up in Romans chapter 8, we've done verses 1 through 4. So today I want to look at Romans 8, 5 through 8. Paul's been talking about kind of the difference of being called in the spirit and the life of flesh, and he's going to carry that on. In Romans 8, verse 5, those who live according to the flesh have their mind set on what the flesh desires. But those who live in accordance with the Spirit have their mind set on what the Spirit desires. The mind governed by the flesh is death, but the mind governed by the Spirit is life and peace. He's just breaking down the difference between going after your own things and going after what God has called you to. Verse 7, the mind governed by the flesh is hostile to God. It does not submit to God's law, nor can it do so. He goes on in verse 8 to really scary. Those who are in the realm of the flesh cannot please God. Kind of gives us a question to stand in today. What are you going to give control to? Are you going to give control to the realm of the flesh and your sin and our own brokenness, or the realm of the Spirit and what God's called us to and walk to? You know, the crazy thing to me about these verses and this whole chapter really is that God kind of sets this whole thing up, that it's almost like a dance that you kind of have to flow in the way that these verses work. Because on the one hand, we are powerless to do anything to please God, to earn God's affection, and we just can't do it on our own. Our flesh is too strong. But yet, God sends his son to die for us. And like we looked at last week, after we come to know him, he looks at us as fully righteous. And there's this balance of like, I can't do anything to earn it. I would fail, so God solves it. And then the other side of it is, I still have responsibilities to do something. And there's this kind of like ebb and flow dance thing of I can't do it, I have to follow, God's going to lead. But in the dance, as I'm responding to him leading, I can still make it better or worse. I can still improve the dance or mess things up a little bit and slow the dance down. And so I'm called to give control over either to my flesh and my sins and my own heart and the broken things inside of me, or to the Spirit and what God's called me to. I know you know this. It's really basic, right? And I know you've got it. But one of the interesting things to me about this that I get to often experience, courtesy of my wife, is that it's not like just the big things in life, right? Like I don't want to come across cocky. I've got plenty of brokenness and things about it, but I've pretty well got like the big things down. There is still a bug just flying around in this room, right in front of me. I've pretty much got the big things down in life, and I'm not. You don't have to worry about me going home and murdering somebody or whatever else. You know, the big sins, I've kind of gotten those under control in my life. But the little things can really tend to trip us up, right? My wife loves to remind me in moments, Jason, you're a pastor. You have to act a little bit better than what you're doing. You can't respond that way to something. It's always the little things, and I'll get frustrated with something, or we'll be in a whole group, and I'll want to do something, and she says, Jason, you're a pastor. You're called to something better than the way you're acting. In the little choices, I have to choose. In the little moments, and even in the secret moments that nobody else is ever going to know about. Am I going to live to the flesh or to the Spirit? To what God's called me to, or to what I want to do, which, just the spoiler, never works out as well as we hoped, never ends well, never gets us to where we thought we were going to get to, and always ends in pain and heartache, if not for you, then for somebody else. But we're called as Christians, as followers of God, to make a choice to say, I'm going to go after what the Spirit has for me, to say, I'm going to go after what God has called me to. I said verse 8 is a little bit scary. Those who are in the realm of the flesh cannot please God. The opposite of that is also true. Those who are in the realm of the Spirit and are living led by the Spirit, that's a pleasing aroma to the Lord. So I'd encourage you this week, even in the little things, even in the secret things, and especially in the big things too, to go after the Spirit and what God would have you do, to make some changes, to shake some things up in your life if you need to reach out to a friend and ask for help, but to go after the Spirit, because that's how you get to the Lord.